What's up, everybody? This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Today is Monday, July 24th, 2017. Make sure you follow me on Facebook at Catch, Hook, Shoot, also on Twitter at Catch, Hook, Shoot. And if you want to shoot me an email, you can do that at catchhookshoot@gmail.com. So, Battleground was last night. Decent pay-per-view. I'm not going to say it was great. Of course, the Punjabi prison match. Obviously, some complaints from the live audience about that because the view was so obstructed with that huge cage. But all in all, you know, I've seen worse. Couple of surprises, nothing major. First surprise, of course, was on the Countdown show. Aiden English getting the win over Ty Dillinger. That to me was unexpected. You know, Dillinger is a guy I thought would have gotten a little bit bigger of a push when he was brought up to the main roster. That hasn't happened yet. English has kind of just been stagnant, I guess, since Simon Gotch was released and they split up with Vaudevillains. So I'm not a huge Aiden English fan myself. Not that I'm not a fan of his work in the ring, because he is obviously a talented performer. I'm just not a fan of his gimmick. I definitely expected Dillinger to win that match, but you know, WWE appears to be going in a different direction, so we'll see what comes with both of those guys, because I think they both deserve a little bit of a push. You know, I'm not saying put them in the main event for the WWE Championship or anything, but you know, get them off of the bottom of the card there a little bit. Another surprise was Natalya winning the 5-way elimination match for the Women's Championship to get the Women's Championship match at SummerSlam against Naomi. Going into it, I'm pretty sure everybody thought Charlotte Flair was going to win. That's what everything was pointing to, and then Natalya pulls it out. So, but you know, well deserved for her. It's all I can say about that is it's about time. She should have gotten a championship push years ago. Her spot in the women's division should be much more prominent than it is. So hopefully this is the start of that, because she definitely, to me, is one of, if not the best female performers on the roster. So she definitely is deserving of this title match. We'll see if they give her a little bit of a title run here. One surprise that didn't really happen. I know everybody was, well, maybe not everybody, but we were expecting to find out who's been trashing Breezango's office and messing with Tyler Breeze and Fandango, but didn't really get any answers to that one either. Just saw the two of them backstage, another one of their little Fashion Files clips, and lights go out and they got attacked and dragged off by someone. Now, the rumors I've seen about this is that it's either Sanity or Authors of Pain, possibly. Those two really don't make too much sense, because they're in a program in NXT right now against each other for the NXT tag titles. They're going against each other at NXT TakeOver the night before SummerSlam, so I'm not thinking it's either one of those two. More than likely, the third option that I heard was that WWE was putting Luke Harper and Eric Rowan back together, which I think is good for the two of them, because their singles careers haven't really done much since they broke up the Wyatt family. Harper had a little glimmer of hope there, but whatever push he was getting pretty much died. We haven't seen too much of him lately, and Eric Rowan hasn't really done anything, so I think it's a good idea to put the two of them back together. They were an outstanding tag team. They were NXT Tag Team Champions together. They were a great tag team on the main roster with the Wyatt family, and the tag team division sorely needs more teams right now. Otherwise, you're going to see those SmackDown titles just bouncing back and forth between the Usos and the New Day, and it's just going to end up getting very boring very quickly. So definitely be good to see a fresh tag team, a legit tag team, come back onto the scene, because otherwise we're going to end up with some of these cut and paste tag teams that you saw a lot of during the Attitude Era, when there wasn't a big emphasis on tag team wrestling. Guys just kind of being thrown together and things like that. So hopefully this plays out well. The last, I guess you can say, big surprise of last night was the return of the Great Khali during the Punjabi prison match. There had been, you know, a few rumblings about Khali possibly coming back during this match. I personally didn't think it would happen. truthfully, I don't think Khali is in any kind of shape to be in the ring. He hasn't been for quite some time. You can tell just by the way the man walks that he's got some severe back issues, which when you're 7'2" and 400 pounds is going to happen. But so I haven't really seen anything as far as, is he back full time, is he back part time, was that a one-off, or is he just going to be around as long as Ginger's got the championship? So it's another one of those kind of wait and see what happens kind of things. But it was, it was a cool little moment for the main event of the pay-per-view, and it definitely made Randy Orton look very strong with how much interference it took for Mahal to win the belt. It made Orton look like a very strong babyface, and it made Mahal look like just a great heel champion, doing anything and everything to hold on to his title. So like I said, all in all, I thought it was a decent pay-per-view. Wasn't horrible, wasn't the best I've ever seen, good, solid, middle-of-the-road pay-per-view for me. Of course, the next big one coming up is SummerSlam. I'm sure they'll start building towards that tonight on Raw. So interested to see what's going to happen with the championship picture on Raw. Of course, Brock Lesnar's still the champion. You've got Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, and now Braun Strowman thrown into the mix. I've seen a couple things online saying it's probably going to be a fatal four-way, which I'm really getting tired of seeing these multiple guy matches at pay-per-views. But what are you going to do? At least with this one, you've got 4 big heavy hitters going at it in there. It should be an entertaining match if that's the direction WWE decides to go with it for the Universal title. I'm honestly hoping that they do take the title off of Brock at SummerSlam. Don't know if that's going to happen. I know the initial plan was for him to hold it all the way until next year's WrestleMania, but I'm really not thinking that's going to happen because it's getting kind of stale, just having Brock come out every 2-3 months and then go away again after he defends the title once or twice. So, but we'll have to see what happens with SummerSlam. So it should be hopefully a good build-up. Obviously, all the championships are going to be defended as usual. So getting into some Global Force news, I'm sure everybody knows about the incident that happened at the airport, I believe it was in Orlando, with Alberto Patron and Paige, his fiance, where police were called and Alberto was suspended indefinitely by Global Force because it was a domestic violence incident. So he was suspended pending the investigation. Well, as of a few days ago, I believe, Alberto was cleared by the police, saying he's no longer a suspect of any kind. No charges are going to be filed against him. Actually, looks like more than likely the police want to file charges against Paige, which is just crazy. But GFW has still not lifted the suspension, so I'm curious to know. I guess they're doing their own internal investigation into it, but who knows. Some more news out of GFW is Magnus is gone from Global Force. He apparently was only working under a handshake deal. There was no contract in place. GFW apparently offered him a contract, which he turned down, which I find interesting because, I mean, TNA obviously is where Magnus made his name for the most part in the U.S. I'd be curious to see if possibly he turns up in the WWE sometime fairly soon, because of course that's where his wife Mickie James currently is working at Raw. And Magnus, I mean, he's got a great look, he's great in the ring, he's great on the mic. He's the type that I think Vince McMahon would love to have. So I would not be surprised at all to see him in a WWE ring very soon. Like I said, he was not under a contract, so there was no 90-day no-compete clause or anything like that. So he can show up on Raw tonight if he wanted to. So we'll just have to see. But I'm hoping because get some new blood in there. I know WWE's constantly bringing guys up from NXT and everything like that. But it's always just kind of a thrill to see somebody just pop up from another company. Hoping if he does go to WWE, they put him on the main roster and not in NXT, kind of like they did with Mike Bennett. Just because, I don't know, I think putting guys with established names like that in NXT, putting too many of them in NXT kind of takes away from the developmental aspect of the brand, which is what NXT is supposed to be. That's supposed to be the future stars of WWE, not where old TNA guys go finish out their careers. So Hopefully we'll see Magnus on the main roster sooner rather than later. Another interesting bit of information is Matt Morgan was released from Global Force. Apparently when Jeff Jarrett first signed him back, when Jarrett took the company back over, the agreement was Morgan was only going to be working on weekends because he does work a regular, apparently 9 to 5 job during the week that he's not willing to, not willing to give up, which can't blame him for that. He's got a family and everything. He just wanted to come back part-time, just do the weekend tapings, no house shows or anything like that. And but tapings have been taking place during the week, and GFW is starting to do house shows and travel around again, so it's just not feasible for Morgan to stay with the company. So he asked for his release and was granted. Another name that's going to be popping up in GFW, or has popped up in GFW, is Johnny Mundo. Of course, he is Mr. Everything right now in AAA, holds the top 3 championships in AAA Mexico, and of course GFW has a working arrangement with AAA, so apparently an announcement was made last week by Jeremy Borash. Johnny Mundo will be making his GFW debut sometime next month at a house show, not on a TV taping. So we'll have to see if they do use him on television at all. I know I definitely like to see him, especially going against some of the guys in the X Division or even in the world title picture. I think he's got a lot to bring to the table. Definitely give a huge boost to Global Force that they sorely need, I think. I mean, they're coming up, but he would, give them a pretty big boost, because Johnny Mundo, not only is he, in my opinion, one of the best in the world right now, but also one of the most popular as far as indie guys goes. So hopefully we'll see him on TV sometime relatively soon for Global Force. So the main topic I wanted to get into today was talking about the championship situation in WWE. Are there too many? Right now, in WWE, there are 13 championships. You got the WWE title and the Universal title, which are the top 2 on Raw and SmackDown. The Intercontinental title, the US title, Raw Tag Team, SmackDown Tag Team, Raw Women's, SmackDown Women's, Cruiserweight Championship, the NXT Championship, the NXT Tag Team Championship, the NXT Women's Championship, and the WWE UK Championship. Never in the history of WWE has there been this many belts floating around, and I think it's just way too much. I think it takes away from the prestige of the titles. I mean, we all know it's predetermined. The creative department determines who the champions are going to be, but I think it diminishes their value, so to speak. Makes them a little bit less special. Because back in when I was growing up on WWE, you had the World Champion, you had the Intercontinental Champion, you had the Tag Team Champions. That was it. So matches were a lot more competitive. Guys, went out there. It just seemed more real, I guess you could say. Like I said, just much more competitive because there were so few prizes to go after and so many guys going after them. But now it's almost like one of those things. Okay, everybody gets a trophy. So, and I understand there's a lot more than 13 people in WWE, but there's just so much saturation as far as championships go. Now, the UK title is unique in that it's defended on the indie scene and occasionally at NXT takeovers. So I take no issue with that. I think it's pretty cool that WWE put a WWE branded title out there in the independents, at least the ones that they work with, to be fought for. Now, I don't know who determines who holds that title, or if it can only change hands at WWE at sanctioned events or things like that. But the UK title, I think the concept of it is pretty cool. I'll kind of leave that one alone. What I'm going to focus on mostly is the top title, the World Champion, which there's, count NXT, there's 3 of them right now. You have the WWE Championship on SmackDown, you have the Universal Championship on Raw, and of course you have the NXT title for NXT. My whole take on this is there should be just one World Heavyweight Champion, whatever you want to call him, whether it's the WWE Champion World Heavyweight Champion, the Universal Champion, the Undisputed Champion. I don't care. There should be one. That should be the top title in the company. And obviously I'm talking about just for the male roster. That should be the top title in the company. Then each brand should have a secondary title, like the U.S. title on SmackDown, the Intercontinental title on Raw. Now NXT doesn't have a secondary title right now, so I've said for a long time I think NXT should bring back the World Television Championship. There's never been one of those in WWE. They brought the U.S. title back from WCW. The World TV Championship just kind of has stayed in obscurity ever since WCW folded. Bring that back, put it in NXT. Then you have a secondary title for each show. You know, the top guy on that show can have that title, and then, you know, they're the ones going for the top guy, the World Heavyweight Champion, who can go to any show. So that, I mean, that's kind of my take on it. Now the tag team situation, because I mean, handling the world title like that, you know, you're at least eliminating a couple of belts and you're giving a lot more prestige to the World Championship, Universal Championship, whatever you choose to call it. The tag team titles, honestly, I think there should be one tag team title also. No secondary titles on the shows, just one set of tag team champions that can go to any show, be it Raw, SmackDown, NXT, whatever. And you know, that's who all the tag teams go after. It would just make things a lot more competitive, a lot more entertaining, I think. You'd see guys maybe taking some more chances. You always hear Stone Cold or even Kurt Angle in his Hall of Fame speech said, go out there, take chances. You know, if there were less prizes to fight for, maybe that's what these guys would do. Not saying that most of them don't. I mean, obviously the upper echelon of WWE talent right now is there for a reason. But maybe the mid-card guys or even the lower-card guys or even the guys that, you know, are just kind of breaking through into NXT, you know, maybe something like that, giving them, you know, something more to shoot for. It would just maybe light a fire under some of these guys, and we'd see the next breakout star come out. As far as the women's championship goes, I don't know if I'd necessarily do the same thing with making secondary titles for each show, because then you're just kind of compounding the problem, creating more and more titles. But the same thing, I would have just a single champion. I mean, that was the original concept when WWE did the first brand split, was that there would be one world champion, one women's champion, and that was it. And they could go to either show, Raw or SmackDown, is all it was at that time. And NXT is its own viable brand now. I mean, yes, it's supposed to be developmental territory, but it has just taken off as far as popularity. You've got big name stars down there now, so, you know, treat it for what it is. Put them in the mix for the World Championships, for the Tag Team Championship, for the Women's Championship. You know, so you're left with one World Champion, one Women's World Champion, one set of Tag Team Champions. Keep the Cruiserweight title, I say, as it is, because it's the only title in that particular division. It's a weight-specific title, which is, for WWE, is kind of rare. I'm not even sure how much longer that title's going to last. 205 Live is really not taken off the way I think WWE hoped it would, which is kind of sad, because every guy on that show is fantastic in the ring, I have to say. I'm real big on Jack Gallagher. I wish they would get him a run with the title, because I just think he's one of the most entertaining guys I've ever seen in the ring. But that's kind of my take on the whole title situation. You know, one world champion, you have a secondary champion on each show, and then one women's champion, one set of tag champs, and that's pretty much it. So you've got, you go from 13 titles down to roughly 6, 7, something like that. And I think it would just make things a lot more interesting. It would just kind of shake things up a little bit and, make things more exciting. But again, that's my take on it. Maybe you think something different. Vince and Triple H obviously think something different. So, let me know what you guys think. Leave me some comments. send me an email, whatever you feel like doing. But that's pretty much all I got for this week. So I will be back next weekend, either Sunday or Monday, with a new episode. See how SummerSlam's building up, see how NXT TakeOver's building up, see if there's any news from Global Force or Ring of Honor or Lucha Underground or any other interesting news from any of the indies or Japan or Mexico. And yes, I will talk to you guys then.